sports.
We are Baltimore. We are San Diego.
How the ball bounces. Pitchers Andrew Kastner and Colin Ray will trade Padres uniforms for those of the Miami Marlins. And the ball has been bouncing out of the ballpark for Alex Dickerson, a home run in 4 consecutive games. No Padre rookie has ever done that. And for the visiting Cincinnati Reds, their cleanup hitter Jay Bruce, a homer in 5 games in a row, and he's clubbed 25 for the season. As we're set to go, the first of a 3-game weekend series, the Padres and Cincinnati Reds with Mark Grant, Dick Enberg. The Padres back home after that 10-game road trip. And since Home Run Derby, that seems like a whole home run rampage has broken out. 25 games in a row now for San Diego.
It's really uncanny, this Padre team, because I would lose that bet if somebody during the season would say, hey, the Padres are going to hit 25 straight. I wouldn't have lost that bet, but everybody's contributing. Hopefully it starts again.
Big news, of course, a trade today, and it was a multiplayer deal.
Yeah, to Miami. Andrew Kastner is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, so you know what? Really, the Miami Marlins and what he does in the offseason, he's got to worry about that. Colin Ray, maybe a number 5 starter. Tyron Guerrero, a right-handed pitcher that has no big league time. So now the Padres get Josh Naylor, the left-handed hitting first baseman, Jared Cosart, a right-handed pitcher, and Carter Capps has got big league time too. So here's the way I look at this. Is also Luis Castillo, a right-handed pitcher.
Look at this Naylor kid, though. He's a blocky, left-handed hitting, 19-year-old first baseman.
And you know what? He's got Pablo Sandoval written all over him, I think, from the left side. Sandoval was a switch hitter, but still good movement right there. And you know what? Right now, A.J. Preller, all these guys are lottery picks. Are you going to win the big one or not? Well, we'll wait and see. But right now, A.J. Preller holds a lot of lottery tickets other than general managers in the National League and American League combined. So they've got the minor league prospects lined up right now.
So not a Padre in uniform tonight. Tyson Ross, Kastner, Shields, Pomerantz, Ray, and Robbie Erlin. More on that from A.J. Preller himself. He'll be with Michelle Margot. We'll get the inside story on the trade today from the man who made the deal. That's coming right up.
Welcome back to Petco Park for Game 1 of the series against the Cincinnati Reds. Well, another day, another boost for the Padres farm system. Earlier today, the Padres were involved in a 7-player trade with the Miami Marlins, and A.J. Preller has made it very clear that he is stocking up this organization with the draft, international signings, and the trades. Here is a graphic of the recent acquisitions for all these prospects and their new rankings. The newest one is, of course, Josh Naylor, that first baseman. Now here he is on what the recent acquisitions mean for the future.
When you go down to the minor league system, for the most part, like each one of our levels, you're starting to see teams that are, hopefully more talented than some of the teams they're playing against. I think it's our job to develop those guys, but I think that's been the goal here since day one, since I came on board, and I think we're starting to get closer to that point where, when we take the field at each minor league level, we're in a spot where we have a quality team and prospects at every position, and that's how you build a championship organization, honestly.
Well, now Tyson Ross is the only pitcher still here from the starting rotation that opened up this season. When we come back, the Padres look to keep the streak alive as they hope to hit a home run in their 26th consecutive game. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Jerome's Furniture, where Jerry's price is the lowest price every day. By Petco, your complete pet store. By Pinnacle on the Park, make your new home here. Visit pinnacleonthepark.com for details. And by the Sony Alpha 7R2, Popular Photography's 2015 Camera of the Year. And here we go. The Padres on this Friday night in their throwback brown and gold is 60 games left in the regular season as they take on the Cincinnati Reds, first of a 3-game series. Edwin Jackson on the mound. San Diego County Sheriff Department honored before the game tonight. Each player will sign an autograph before we go to work tonight. And here is the Reds starting lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. Billy Hamilton leads it off, the speedster who leads the National League in stolen bases. Then Zach Cozart. Joey Votto's been red hot of late. 12-game hitting streak, batting .500. Jay Bruce the same, 5 straight games with a home run. Adam Duvall, left fielder acquired from the Giants in the offseason. He's delivered 25 homers as well. Brandon Phillips, the veteran second baseman, hits 6th. Eugenio Suarez is the third baseman. The catcher Tucker Barnhart will bat 8th, and Brandon Finnegan, the pitcher, in the 9th spot.
And right-hander veteran Edwin Jackson on the hill. His scouting report brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. He's very aggressive in the zone. Sometimes he can be a little wild, effectively wild. Hitters won't really dig in there. Hopefully we can see a good outing. I like what I've seen in Edwin Jackson so far.
Third start as a Padre as we check the defense behind Jackson, brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Travis Jankowski will patrol center field with Dickerson in left and Kemp in right. On the infield, the Yars are on the left side. Rosales and Ramirez at third and short. Schimpf and Myers at second and first base. Norris behind the plate for the 32-year-old right-hander born in Germany, Edwin Jackson. With the evening cover coming in off the Pacific, it's cooled down a bit. Beautiful sunny San Diego day out this Friday. And here we go. Padres took 3 out of 4 in Cincinnati. Now it's the Reds' turn here at Petco on the first pitch of the game. Just misses outside. Got to keep Hamilton off the bases. Once he's on there, a tear as a base stealer, has 34 this year. Bunted back to the mound. Jackson hustles to the ball and throws him out by a step. That'll bring up shortstop Zach Cozart. Cozart has not had good success against Jackson in their career meetings, 1 for 15, but he's in, like many of the Reds, in a hot hitting streak, hitting safely in the last 9. As we check the umpiring crew with Dana DeMuth, the chief behind the plate with Gibson, DeJesus, and Estabrook on the bases. In there for a strike. Cozart checking in at 266. 15 home runs, matching his total of a year ago. And he hits that high and deep to left field. Dickerson, a long run, and he can't get there, nor can Jankowski. Dickerson is having trouble getting up, and Jankowski finally hustles the ball in. It'll be a triple for Cozart. And there's no question Dickerson, who has been the Padres' hottest power hitter, took the worst of that collision at the wall. It was just perfectly hit between the two outfielders, neither able to get there, and then the ultimate crash. Got him up in the upper right thigh and knee.
Wow.
That's like a vicious block in football.
I look at that. How does Travis Jankowski get right back down on his feet after having a right leg right into the head from Alex Dickerson? Wow. What? I think you know what? After looking at that fall, it looks like the right hip, he landed really hard on his right hip. And the play right in front of Cozart.
Yeah, that's the kind of ball that winds up an inside the park home run. Jankowski hustling to it and getting it back in, limits it to a triple. Now the big question, how serious was that collision to Dickerson? He's hit so well, home runs in 4 straight games, batting cleanup tonight.
Hey, that's a big boy hitting hard on that track. You know, it's one thing hitting on the grass where it's got a little bit of give, but that warning track out there, that's a hard surface. And that is one big kid coming down hard.
He's in pain as he gets to his feet. You know, you wonder through the course of a season with so many balls just intersecting the outfielders and 2 men on the dead run trying to catch it. You can't take time out to slow up to see where the other guy is. It's a wonder it doesn't happen more often.
And Alex did a good job going back. He double checked. He looked at the wall before he hit the track. And then Travis, no, you know, when Travis Jankowski is trying to intersect with Alex Dickerson,
that's a mismatch.
Yeah, Travis Jankowski hits the brakes and he slides to try to break. And I'm still amazed that Travis didn't really get shaken up.
Yeah, they're looking at his forehead now.
Now watch his as he lands on his left hip. Right hip. Right there. That's a big boy going down hard.
Jankowski did indeed take a pretty good sock in the upper left forehead.
I know there's a lot going on there, but you know what? One thing is that I think is a positive. The spikes of Dickerson were up off the ground when Jankowski hit him. He did not get a foot caught, which I think could be a good thing because remember Kyle Schwarber with the Cubs in Arizona this year? same type of collision.
It really was.
And he was out for the year with a torn up knee.
Well, Dickerson's going to come out of the game. They'll get an ice pack on that injury as fast as they can, but not so serious that he has to be helped off the field. At least he can make his way on his own. Big screen out in left field replaying the collision. You heard the ooh from the crowd in the background. Christian Bethancourt, the all-purpose catcher, utility, relief pitcher. He's going to go in to play left field. At least he was the first to get up to get ready. Well, that's a shame. Dickerson enjoying such terrific success in the last 4 games, 9 for 18, 4 of them home runs. In the last 18 games, hitting .322 to prove himself as a bona fide major leaguer. The power from Poway, and then for this to happen. Fans behind the Padre dugout, first base side, giving him a hand as he comes off. Well, a rough way to start this homestand. Second batter up.
Well, that's a good sign, Dick. He's the way he is walking off the field.
Michelle Mar goes on the case as soon as we get an official word from the clubhouse. Of course, we'll share it with you. So if you're keeping score tonight, you can insert Christian Bethancourt in that cleanup spot. Well, the Padres, with the trades and injuries, are a man short at almost every spot. And so Bethancourt, with a limited bench, has to be inserted into left field as the replacement. So in terms of strategy, immediately Andy Green, Mark McGuire have to think through, you know, as we get later into the game, that's got to think way ahead. And of course, that's a chess game every manager has to play.
Yeah, you know what the combination was I was thinking of? I was thinking maybe Wallace at first base and putting Myers out in left. Just a thought, and that's what's great about baseball. You can jockey around which you feel fit.
Infield in for Joey Votto. And he has been a red hot. Votto, in a 12-game hitting streak, is 20 for 40, hitting .500 with 4 home runs. And against Edwin Jackson in his career, hitting over 400 and a couple of homers. So the matchup here favors Votto and the Cincinnati Reds. Infield will try to choke off that run from third. In the dirt again. He may not want to give Votto something good to hit, but then you got to face Jay Bruce.
Well, that second pitch was a breaking ball in the dirt. 2-0. Let's see what he throws him here.
Bruce with 25 homers and 79 runs batted in, among the leaders in the National League in both categories.
Fastball right down the middle, outer third, and very late on that pitch.
Votto annually among the leaders in most walks, 74 times this year. Didn't get the call, 3-1.
It looked like he didn't get a call right there as Dana DeMuth, the home plate umpire. Well, as long as that foot is on the part of the chalk line.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of tough to tell. He's screening with his calf there.
And another walk, number 75 on the year. So runners at the corners for Jay Bruce. 1 out. Bruce leading the team in hits, a couple of hits from 100. Since the All-Star game, 7 home runs to boost his total to 25.
I think the way that Andy Green might be thinking here is that Jay Bruce is tied for the lead in grounding into double plays this year with 11. So you make a good pitch here, you get a grounder, take your chances that way.
And he's a more likely strikeout candidate than Votto. Strike one. He's walked 27 times, but he struck out 82 times. Reds have been hot. Last 10 games are 7-3. Left center field, and that's slicing away from Jankowski. Runs it down. Tagging and scoring easily is Cozart, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati. Number 80 in that RBI column for Jay Bruce.
One of the reasons why Jay Bruce has been so successful, you see him going the other way, using the whole field. Well, hitting in Cincinnati, good hitters park, and here at Petco Park, he gives this one a good ride. And the thing that really sticks out off the left-handed bat, slicing Jankowski, the closing speed to track that one down.
Yeah, at the Great American Ballpark, that probably is a home run. Sad to say, but it's that big a difference between the 2 yards. Adam Duvall pops that one high in the air, back of home plate, out of play. 25 homers for Duvall to tie Bruce for the club lead, and he's knocked in 69. Good pickup from the Giants. That was the trade for Mike Leake at the deadline a year ago. Two away. Votto at first, and the Reds on the board here in the top of the first. Oh, 1 ball, 1 strike. In fact, since the All-Star break, Mark Grant, these Reds, who have been suffering in last place in the Central Division, are 8-4. That ties Colorado with the best record in the National League.
Yeah, the one thing that really sticks out, Dick, is the bullpen. They've got a couple of arms down there that's really made a bullpen difference, bridging that gap.
And that's with the Aroldis Chapman being sent off to New York. But the key topic at this time is home runs, especially with the Padres 25 straight games. And the leader currently in the National League, rookie Trevor Story of the Rockies, with Arenado 1 back, tied with Chris Bryant and Jay Bruce and Duvall. Just 2 off Story's lead. Matt Kemp only 4 back.
Yeah, it's been the pitching that's been the kryptonite this year for the Reds. 15th in ERA in the National League.
Ground ball up the middle and a base hit. No one there as Ramirez was shaded way over toward third. So Duvall pushes Votto to second base on the single, and the inning continues.
Boy, Duvall really got on top of that ball and somehow sends it up the center of the diamond. As you mentioned, Dick, the infield playing him to pull. That's a high slider on contact. That's right across the Cincinnati on the jersey. Boy, that's some serious top hand, almost like a forehand over the net for a winner.
Very good there, Bud.
That's a forehand, right?
See, that's right. We should go back and your next life make you a tennis player. Brandon Phillips, 15-game hitting streak. Takes strike 1. Hitting .333 in the streak. And that's the longest active in the National League, with Votto in the second spot, tied with Yadier in St. Louis. Two on, 2 out, a run home for the Reds. Another right on the corner, but DeMuth thus far has a tight strike zone.
It'll be interesting to see what the strike zone is going to be tonight with Dana DeMuth, the veteran umpire, the crew chief behind the dish, calling balls and strikes.
Two balls and a strike. Friday night crowd settling in. We had Vegas night in the park. Ripped up the middle and through into center field. That'll bring Votto around third to score, and on to third goes Duvall. It's 2-0 Cincinnati. Yeah, these Reds have really been hitting the ball since the All-Star intermission. And they show that here early against Edwin Jackson.
Well, one of the things that Darren Balsley said before the ball game, for Edwin Jackson to be effective, is throw the breaking ball for strikes. That's just a good old-fashioned two-seamer down the middle. And the veteran Phillips stays out to send it ground ball to Jankowski, just catching too much of the plate.
So first and third with 2 outs to Suarez, the third baseman, hitting .233, but with a good power number, 17 home runs. Reds have won 4 consecutive series. Milwaukee, Atlanta, Arizona, San Francisco, all by 2 games to 1 since the All-Star break. And a drive up the alley left center, and there's no one there. That's going to get 1 home, and it's going to also bring Phillips all the way around from third base. He will score, and it's 4-0 here in the first inning for the visitors from Cincinnati. Boy, they're finding the holes.
You know, the breaking ball's been up too from Edwin Jackson. That's an adjustment that he knows he has to make. He can't be living at the top of the zone, because up in the zone it's going to hang up there a little bit, not break as much. Doesn't mean you can't throw him a breaking ball. It's just a matter of getting it out and out there.
Well, the game started after 1 out with the Cozart drive to left center that created the collision between Dickerson and Jankowski, and it's gone downhill since. They lose Dickerson. Bethancourt now in left field. Emergency. Votto walks. Sacrifice fly for Bruce to make it 1-0. Duvall a single, first and third. Phillips a single to make it 2-0, and now a 2-run double by Suarez, and a 4-0 lead.
Mine aren't down there.
8th man to bat in the first inning. Catcher Tucker Barnhart. Hitting .258. He was a tough out for the Padres in the Cincinnati series in the Queen City. Padres winning 3 out of 4 there. 1-1. Pitcher Finnegan on deck. 54-year-old Brian Price, the skipper in his 3rd year of Cincinnati. Cal Berkeley, pitcher in his collegiate days. High fly ball to center. Jankowski waiting for it to come down, and finally the inning comes to an end. But 4 runs, 4 hits, first inning. Cincinnati on top. Urged by these Padres. You wouldn't think that this would be the team that now is tied for the all-time National League record. 1 home run tonight, and they'll own that spot all by themselves. As we look at Toyota's starting lineup for the Padres, Travis Jankowski with Will Myers hitting second, Matt Kemp third, with Bethancourt slotted fourth, subbing for the injured Dickerson. Schempt will bat fifth, then Derek Norris, Alexei Ramirez in the seventh slot, followed by Adam Rosales, as Jan Solarte is still on family leave, and Edwin Jackson, a good hitter, 3 for 5 as a Padre, bats ninth against Brandon Finnegan, a 23-year-old former Horned Frog at TCU.
Yeah, the left-hander sports a fastball, slider, changeup. He can be wild at times, and going into an area where he's not really used to at the big league level as far as innings pitched. Now at 111 in the third for Brandon Finnegan.
Gives up a walk about every 2 innings. And he's tied for the National League lead in home runs allowed, 22. In the series at Cincinnati, the Padres beat him 3-0 when Drew Pomerantz got the win and homered off Finnegan.
Boy, when I saw this kid first after going to the World Series with TCU, then pitching for the Kansas City Royals in the postseason, I thought he was just going to be lights out from there on out. And he's got a good young left arm, very aggressive in the zone. The kid's a bulldog. He's a gamer.
5'11", 200-pounder. And he strikes out Jankowski looking. 1 away. A look at the Cincinnati defense tonight. In the outfield, Duvall in left, Hamilton in center, and that's Jay Bruce in right field. Suarez and Votto at the corners of the infield, with Cozart and Phillips the double play combination, and Barnhart behind the plate. Will Myers trying to snap a 7 for 45 streak, 16 strikeouts since the All-Star game. His average has dropped some 25 points. Taking a lot of pitches, 1-1.
Oh, I've noticed pretty straight fastball from Finnegan in the past, and tonight, as Will not all the way back in the box like a lot of hitters.
Off speed, 2-1. 20 homers for Will Myers. Second to Kemp. Clips the high fastball back to the screen. The Padres going for a home run and a National League team record of 26 consecutive games against a Reds pitching staff, the most generous in all of baseball in tossing up home run balls. Just inside, count full.
Boy, that is one tough pitch to lay off. The one that's going to look like a strike, the breaking ball. As Matt Kemp waits on deck. Here's the breaking ball with a slider just off the plate.
And he earns a walk. Padres have a base runner with 1 away here in the bottom of the first as we check on our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Finish Finnegan. Hey, the Padres got some catch up to do, okay? That's just what happened. 4 runs in the first for Cincinnati. Time to fight back, and don't let Bruce beat you. Sacrifice fly in the first inning, driving a run. Doesn't mean you can't quiet him the rest of the game. So let's see if the Padres can at least get 1 or 2 back in this half of the first.
Well, Matt Kemp's been doing the job here of late. 23 homers to match his total for the entire 2015 season. And we've yet to go to August. So 2 more months to go. And Finnegan allowing 22 homers. He, Scherzer, and former Padre Matt Whistler leading the National League. Jonathan Neese with 21. 5 home runs on the road trip for Matt Kemp.
Such an easy swing, too. Getting that barrel out in front and connecting, setting the ball on its way. It's one thing Matt Kemp, in the course of his career, is not overswing. Just gets in a good position, lets the Schlaley do the work.
Outfield very deep in all 3 positions. About a step, 2 steps farther back than most outfield alignments. Line drive, left field, that'll fall for a base hit. And the Padres try to come back from that 4-0 early deficit. 2 on with 1 out for Christian Bethancourt.
Well, everybody loves the long ball, especially when Matt Kemp hits a long ball, multiple base runners on. But hey, nothing wrong with passing it on to Christian Bethancourt. The single will be just fine off the end of the bat. Looked like a fastball left over the heart of the plate. And just like that, with the way the home run's been coming for San Diego, 1 swing puts you within 1.
In his limited opportunities, Bethancourt has hit 5 home runs. Only 116 at bats for the all-purpose catcher. Batting 4th with Alex Dickerson injured on the collision with Jankowski in the outfield in the 1st inning. And falling behind 2-0, and that'll bring catcher Barnhart out to the mound.
If Finnegan having difficulty, that was one of the things. He could be erratic at times.
Well, 111 innings, 56 walks. Well, that's too high a number for Brian Price, his manager, or Finnegan himself, and he's walked Myers here to start this 1st inning with 1 out, and now Kemp single.
Boy.
3-0. On deck is Ryan Schimpf. What do you think back in spring training we'd be in July and the cleanup hitter would be Dickerson and the number 5 hitter Schimpf?
Nope. I would have lost that bet.
What a season. What a contribution by these call-ups. High strike. Clearly in the strike zone. Bethancourt jumping away as if it was out of the zone, hoping for ball 4. Now 3-1. So that runs out the count. As the Padres, with 25 straight games, that's ties the National League record set by the Atlanta Braves. Texas Rangers have the all-time mark. 14 years ago, they hit home runs in 27 straight games.
That's unbelievable.
It really is. I mean, we're talking about major league history here. Yeah, it goes around. Couldn't quite check his swing. Couple of strikeouts for Finnegan. 2 on, 2 out for Ryan Schimpf. And here's tonight's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Clean, Crisp, Coors Light. Since the All-Star break, Kemp, Bruce, Jerko with 7 home runs. Story with 6, and Schimpf, along with Justin Turner of the Dodgers, with 5.
It's a great story in itself right there.
It certainly is. Finally getting a chance at a big league level. Outside, ball 1.
Oh, I mentioned it when we were in Toronto, that Ryan was a victim of the depth chart of the Blue Jays. Going back to Aaron Hill, Cesar Izturis, among other infielders anchored at second base for the Jays back then.
Finally, at age 28, he makes it to the big time. Outside, 2-0. He's always been a home run hitter in the minor leagues. Last year at New Hampshire in AA and Buffalo AAA. Had 23 home runs total. Had 15 at El Paso before being called up this year by the Padres. High 3-0. Finnegan's control wobbly, but he was able to rally from 3-0 down against Bethancourt and struck out Christian. Myers from second and Kemp from first, ready to roll with 2 outs. Ball 4, a 4-pitch walk, and the bases are loaded.
Follow Padres Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
Derek Norris trying to snap out of a hitting slump. His average down to 199. He's 2 for the last 23. Here's a chance to do the job. A ringing double in the alley would make it a 4-3 game. And he lines one to the third baseman. Suarez in the right spot. That was headed for the left field corner. So the Padres leave 3. Tough hitting continues for Derek Norris. He hit it right on the button to the leather at third. It stays 4-0 Cincinnati.
Good one, and he's going to help him down the stretch run. And I wasn't here for the previous few years of Cash, but he's got as much upside as anybody, and we would love to be able to hang on to those guys and competing for a pennant right now. It's just not where we are, so it's kind of our job as an organization to get the most out of we can these guys and bring back prospects that give us a chance to compete in the future.
Well, that's the facts, ma'am. That the Padres are not in the pennant race, so they have to make deals and look for the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe Friday.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Jack Webb.
There you go.
In my youth, that was really the big show, wasn't it?
And while we have a moment, I think we owe Cash a thank you. He was great with us. Interviews, just being a good egg, and we wish him well. Except when he pitches against the Padres.
Yeah, right. And we may see him down the line. The Padres go to Miami in late August, a weekend series against the Marlins, the 26th, 7th, and 8th of August.
And let's not forget, Andrew Cashner was going through a lot off the field as well with his family and his mom. And we never know until we walk in somebody's moccasins, right?
Right.
So we don't know what the effect was on Andrew, but I tell you what, he went out there every 5th day and gave it his best, and we wish him well. I'm going to miss the cowboy boots.
3-1 now to the pitcher Brandon Finnegan, leading off in the top of the second. Edwin Jackson and the Padres down 4-0 early. Broken bat fly ball on the infield, and who wants it? Ramirez takes it right out of the glove of Schimpf for the first out. Time now for the top tier player profile, brought to you by Arco, and we go back to the trade today. Jared Cosard was the 38th round pick in 2008 by the Phillies, traded to the Astros and then to the Marlins. 57 starts in the big leagues. He's 16-18. The ERA respectable at 3.69.
And the thing is, big league time, right? 4-year major league career. He's got some time up and down in 58 career games. Check that.
He might be the starter on Sunday. That's not been announced as yet. Billy Hamilton tried to bunt his way on the first time and was thrown out by Jackson. Oh, 0-2. 94 on the fastball. One of the great stars, the Hall of Famer Barry Larkin, playing here tonight.
Oh, he could pick it.
Saw him in Cooperstown. Not only a bright, talented man, just his presence tells you he's an important person. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 away here in the second. First strikeout for Jackson.
Going right after him. And you know what? Edwin Jackson's been around the block to where if he gets knocked around for an inning, he can bounce right back. That's a good located fastball above the belt buckle. It's a future big leaguer. Got to hydrate.
Padres a little unlucky not to get some runs back in the bottom of the first inning, but so it goes. Zach Cozart, his triple to left center, created the collision between Dickerson and Jankowski that forced Dickerson out of the game. We're yet to hear a report from the clubhouse on his injury or condition. .94 on the fastball. Jackson's got the velocity.
Okay, Dick, we've got the homemade signs. I love that. It's my homie's 13th birthday. Keep home run sneak alive. I like it. Good job, fellas.
That's in there. 2-1.
Takes a lot of time and effort to make that during the day and bring it to the yard. So, love the homemade signs.
The first inning triple. Cozart's hitting streak up to 10. Three balls and a strike to the Reds shortstop. Pulled to the hole and through. The fifth hit. Boy, you just had this feeling. The Reds base hits, all of them have been just perfectly struck between the infielders and outfielders. Not necessarily over hit, but finding the holes. There's another. Whereas the Padres line into a third out with the bases loaded.
You know, I noticed on that play, Adam Rosales kind of slapped his glove after that ball got through. Now, I'm not saying Adam should have gotten that ball, but his body language told me that maybe he was thinking Alexei Ramirez was going to be behind him covering the hole a little bit. And I'm thinking, you know what? We know Adam. He's probably telling himself, gosh darn, I should have tried to dive for that ball and give it a shot. Not the case, so a runner aboard.
For Joey Votto, who slices that one toward the souvenir seats down the left field line. Shift on dramatically, only Ramirez on the left side. Rosales over playing at the second base position with Schimpf out in shallow right field. Pulled right to Myers under his glove, but fielded by Schimpf. Jackson covers, and the out is 4-1. That's it for the Reds. Top of the second. The Padres will lead it off with Alexei Ramirez down 4-0.
The Padres 4-0 at the bottom of the second. Well, the Padres are making history with every home run they hit. They've currently hit a bomb in 25 consecutive games. The streak began on June 28th against the Baltimore Orioles. During that streak, rookie Ryan Schimpf has hit 9 of those homers. Now, the last team to hold the Padres to no home runs was, of course, the Cincinnati Reds, so hopefully they can overcome that tonight. I talked with hitting coach Alan Zinter about the pride they take in this streak, and he said it's been cool to make history and have consistently good at-bats, but it's really just uncontrollable, and it's not something that they talk about or try to do, guys.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Yes, indeed, back on Sunday, the 26th of June, it was the left-hander right-handed Anthony DeSclafani who shut out the Padres 3-0, and then after that game, the Padres have homered in every contest. Ramirez a 2-hopper to Cozart, and one away here in the Padres second.
You know, I'm not saying the Padres should hit a home run every game, but when you think about it, not homering in that ballpark, because that place is a bandbox, let's face it, ball jumps. But it is one heck of a streak.
Even manager Andy Ring calls it a borderline fluke. Adam Rosales hitting 8th tonight. Had a home run in Toronto to help the Padres to a victory against the Blue Jays in their getaway day. .90 on the fastball, 1-1.
Yeah, Finnegan can touch mid-90s.
And the breaking ball just at the bottom of the strike zone. 1-2.
He's a max effort type pitcher. What I mean by that, it looks like he puts every ounce of effort into every pitch. And that could take its toll when you're not used to throwing over 100 innings.
Line drive, hooking foul into the first row. So on Wednesday to close out the 10-game road trip in Toronto, off the knuckleballer Dickey. And that got the Padres on the board early, on their way to an 8-4 victory, number 7 on the season for Rosales. Caught looking, and that's the third strikeout for Brandon Finnegan. Brings up Edwin Jackson, the pitcher.
They had 2 good fastballs to hit that at bat, just couldn't pull the trigger.
Nice turnout on Friday night to open this homestand. We'll also see Milwaukee and Philadelphia, 9 games in the current stand, and all 3 teams with losing records. Perhaps the Padres can make some hay here. In fact, the 3 teams combined are 43 games under 500. (2-0) to Jackson. 3 hits and 5 at bats as a Padre. That looks pretty nice. A .600 average. This looks like a hitter, doesn't it?
He sure does. I'd like to see him lay into one.
Breaking ball to the opposing pitcher at 2-0. Lays off the high heater, 3-1. So the pitch count up to 35 for Finnegan for 5 outs. Well, he took a home run cut.
Stay tuned. Next half inning, Scotty Miller, Fox Sports San Diego MLB Insider, is going to join Dick and I and give his insights on all the dealings, not only with the Padres but around Major League Baseball.
Couple more days left. That's out of play. Monday. Can August be here already? August 1st is Monday. The deadline, usually it's around 5 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock on the West Coast. It's a day later than normal. Full count. Just got a piece.
Out. Looks like Travis Jankowski almost got that on deck.
Well, they sold tons of merchandise during the All-Star break with the brown and gold. You see that all over the country in my travels the last couple of weeks. So a lot of folks wearing those colors after the All-Star game. Got him. So 4 strikeouts for Finnegan in the first 2. He gets the side in order in the second. We move ahead to the third. Jay Bruce will be aboard for the Reds.
Anywhere from 96 to 100, and he's pitching at 97, 98, and he's holding it for 6 or 7 innings. It's a good changeup. I think he's a guy that we've, I think our scouts kind of debated a little bit, start, relieve down the road, but ultimately I think I just feel like he has a chance to be a starter, and he's a guy that a lot of helium in our room in terms of, where he's at prospect value-wise, and I think a really good get for us.
A.J. Preller, the Padres general manager, discussing the trade made today with the Miami Marlins, and Luis Castillo, hard-throwing right-hander, part of the deal from Miami, pitching at the Class A level currently. As we go to the third, 4-0. The Reds in front, and Jay Bruce leads it off for Cincinnati, followed by Adam Duvall and Brandon Phillips, the middle of the order for manager Brian Price. Shift on for Bruce, sacrifice fly in the first inning for Bruce to knock in his 80th run of the year. Scott Miller, MLB Insider. We saw you last in Cooperstown. Nice here, nice there, wasn't it?
We had a nice time over breakfast last Sunday morning, on the morning of the induction, I believe it was, looking out onto Lake Otsego and at the hotel there. Beautiful place.
Glorious,
we both
isn't it?
love it.
It really is.
As great a weekend as there is in baseball.
Yeah, you're rubbing shoulders with the greatest in the game, and they treat you like one of their own.
Yeah.
Well, it's your time of the year. Nothing more juicy than talking about trades or seeing the culmination of them as Bruce rolls out to Rosales over on the second base side for the first down. Well, the trade today with the Miami Marlins, did it surprise you?
No, several teams were looking at Andrew Cashner. The thing, Dick, is at this particular trading deadline is so diluted. A year ago, we saw David Price traded, Cole Hamels, and Johnny Cueto, all 3 guys that are season-changing type of guys. And we saw Johnny Cueto help Kansas City get to the World Series and win a World Series. This year, there's the marquee names aren't there, which really played into the Padres' hands, I think, because the names you saw in the market, guys like Andrew Cashner, Jeremy Hellickson in Philadelphia, it's a seller's market, and so the price for those guys was high, and A.J. Preller played it very nicely.
Scotty, how many teams were interested? How many teams do you think called the Padres interested?
You know, A.J. Preller said about 10 initially.
Really?
Initially, but then that got whittled down. The last few days, Mud, Toronto checked in, but their farm system isn't too good right now. The Marlins, the Baltimore Orioles, those were the team. San Francisco checked in as well. The Giants need a starter and a reliever. They got Eduardo Nunez, the infielder from Minnesota, the other day because Duffy and Panic are injured right now, and they needed some infield depth. But where Cashner was concerned, you know, those four, San Francisco checked, Baltimore, Toronto. But Miami has kind of been an under-the-radar player all along, and they've really pushed hard to acquire pitching because they think not only can they win a wild card spot, but maybe overtake Washington for the division.
How about Colin Ray? I was surprised to see him in the deal.
Yes, you know, I was initially, Dick, no question. We haven't heard much about him, and of course the Padres had control over him for the next few years. He was kind of an under-the-radar guy, but the more I thought about it, it did make sense in that if the deal was going to get done with the Marlins, because the Marlins were looking for 1 or 2 starting pitchers.
Duvall deep to right, and he can't get it. Kemp against the wall. Duvall's on his way for 3, and he'll make it without a slide. There's the power of Duvall, 25 home runs on the year, and he's able to shoot that one over Kemp's head against the boards in right field, a 1-out triple.
Well, early on the Reds hits, now 6. They've been up in the zone, but look at this one. This one's down around the knees. This ball off the right-handed bat, slicing towards the line, and Matt Kemp at the last second extends. And then Duvall turns it on. Well, judging by him going down the first base line, I thought he may have thought that ball was going to be caught.
Just out of the reach of Kemp and Wright, and Duvall has his second triple of the season. 1 out as the Reds try to fortify their 4-0 advantage. Here's Brandon Phillips singled in to run his first at bat.
You know what, Scotty? After looking at the trade and evaluating and looking at the players, I know this is a Padres broadcast, but I think the Padres win.
Yeah, I think you're right. Executives I've talked to around the game today, Mud, and I've talked to a number of executives and scouts, and the Padres have gotten very high marks from them. I think, no question. I think for the Marlins, I think at worst case it's a break-even deal. For the Marlins to break even, though, I think they need to win the wild card slot or overtake Washington for the division. Then I think the Marlins, then it'll be one of those win-win, right? It'll be a trade where both teams got what they wanted. If the Marlins fail to do that, then the Padres certainly have the upper hand. But either way, given the way the Padres season has been going, right, they need the influx of young talent, and we've seen it coming back quite a bit now in the past month.
And that's why I say that as we take a look at the wild card here, Miami only a game out.
Right now, if the season ended, it would be the Dodgers and the Cardinals for the wild card in the National League. Mets are right there as well in Pittsburgh. 2-2 now to Phillips. Well, if they can get Cashner as a starter to give them the kind of performances that we saw the last 3 times out from Andrew, he might win them 4 or 5 games in the next 2 months.
That's what they're hoping. I think a couple things here, Dick. One, Cashner, as enigmatic as he's been here in San Diego, I think the Marlins are hoping if he gets onto a team that every single game means something and you get that momentum going toward the stretch run, that maybe he'll rise to the level more consistently. And secondly, I think the Marlins are hoping that they have a really, really good infield defense, and they're hoping that defense behind Cashner can lift him up as well.
Swinging and a miss by Phillips, and no, he got a piece of that or not? The way he walked away from the plate, he thought he might have foul-tipped that, but he is gone on strikes. 2 away. Well, the key player for the Padres in the deal was the young first baseman, left-handed hitting Naylor. What do you know about him?
Well, you can see, you know, it's funny. Look, what the video that we're looking at right now, this footage. A scout told me he mentioned the name Prince Fielder to me, and you can kind of see it, right? Short and big. And the same scout, I chuckled. He said he's got one of those soup and salad bodies. In other words, meaning you need to keep him on some soups and salads so he doesn't continue to get bigger.
I got a little Pablo Sandoval as well from the left side.
Yeah, you can see that.
Same type body type.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's not forget, Pablo Sandoval is one heck of an athlete back in the day, and he could hit and he could field. Good athlete.
Much quicker especially with the feet and the hands, than you would think. And you're right.
Toward the hole, cut off by Rosales. The throw across in time for the out, and the 1-out triple. And Duvall dies at third. It's still 4-0 thanks to Scott Miller. Keep your eyes on that trade market. We'll be back.
Will do.
To nothing in bottom of the third. Well, there you see Alex Dickerson colliding with Travis Jankowski on that play. Well, a quick update from the Padres clubhouse for you. He left with a right hip contusion. As for a timetable for his return, there is no timetable yet, and he is day-to-day. Guys.
All right, thank you, Michelle. You can see he landed fully on that right hip on the warning path and left center. Hopefully not serious. Might sideline him for a couple of games. So I'd hope to have that home run back in the lineup. The power from Poway.
I remember one thing my dad told me when I was playing Little League Baseball. We played against a team who were huge guys, right? Thought we were outmatched. He said, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah.
And that's a big boy falling hard. I mean, we wish him well, but man, you get tripped up like that.
Yeah, Caltech measured that. It actually created just
on the Richter scale.
Yeah, just a little, you know.
Really?
Yeah, a little hiccup.
Well, we wish him well.
Yeah. Not making fun of you, Alex.
No.
We want you back in that lineup. Jankowski leading off here in the bottom of the third. Skies it to center, and Hamilton squeezes the first out here in the last of the third. That'll bring up Will Myers. Myers walked his first time, and then Kemp singled, and with 2 outs, Schimpf walked to load the bases, and Norris blistered a line drive. Looked as if the Padres were going to get a couple of runs back. That would have been a double into the left field corner, but third baseman Suarez there to glove it for the out. Well, his home record certainly shows that he likes the San Diego cuisine. 123 points higher hitting here at Petco than on the road.
And that was my go-to stat for picking him tonight for Pick the Stick. Back at the home digs here. He loves hitting it here at Petco Park, and the numbers prove that.
He walked the first time and falls down on the count, 2 strikes. So the Padres in this 25-game home run streak. It's kept them in games, but they haven't won enough games. They're 11-14 in those 25 games, in part because Myers and Norris have been in a slump.
I would gladly trade no home runs for a 14-11 record.
There you go.
Streak,
so
right?
would Dandy Green. One out, Myers, Kemp on deck.
Well, I know there's a big Padre fan out there watching on TV who is a huge Padre fan. Kyle Musella and his wife Kimmy, son Colt, they're rooting for the Padres to hit another home run tonight. We wish them well. Taking in a big league ball game tonight on TV. They watch every night.
Just got a piece of that. Fouled it back. Pitch in his zone.
A couple of rock stars enjoying the big league ball game.
Now, why? Just because that appearance, you think they're a rock star, right? Or maybe they are. Do you know they are?
I know, but they enjoying themselves, huh? Look like rock stars to me.
They could be pebble stars and not rock stars. You know, got to grow into being a rock star.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's going to happen? Andrew Kastner going to Miami. He's going to be 5 pounds lighter.
I know.
He's going to have to shave that beard.
Unbelievable.
That might help. Beard didn't win him but 4 games this year. That one softly hit into the stands about 3 rows back. Well, that ought to be worth a commercial. You know, if Kastner's agent's on the case, you make a deal with a razor company or a barber shop or something and say, you know, give the money to charity. Why not? That's a lot of hair there. You could make about 3 wigs out of that beard.
I'll call Cass, see if he can send that hair my way.
Low and away. It's Sailor, 2-2.
It's a good battle going on here with Will. Change up that last pitch. Laying off nicely.
Just missed low and in.
Hey, he did that the first at bat, remember? Breaking ball, down and in, laid off it. Eventually worked the walk.
10th pitch of this at bat coming up. That ball drilled into left field and over the head of left fielder Duvall. Myers can cruise into second with a stand-up double. Now that's the Will Myers pre-All-Star break we learned to love and enjoy. A bullet double to left.
Oh, a two-seamer in. Look at the hands in. You know, 2 good at-bats. Oh, and the gracefulness. Oh, slow it down, Duvall. Trying to do his best, Mikhail Baryshnikov out there. I don't think Bolshoi Ballet is going to be calling.
So, double for Myers. And the Padres try to snip away at that 4-0 Cincinnati lead. Here's Kemp. He singled his first time. '69 runs batted in for the Padres right fielder. Myers a big lead, and Phillips is edged over behind the bag at second. Whoa, up and away. 2-0 to Kemp.
Again, falling behind here, do some damage for Matt Kemp. He does have Bethencourt on deck. A lot will be told here, 2-0, what Finnegan tries to do with him.
A 3-0.
A two-seamer at 91. Hey, I think if you get a fatty here, I say swing at it. Why not? It's got to be right there, though.
Taking all the way, 3-1. Right at the bottom of the zone. 55 pitches for Finnegan. A couple of walks. He's been to several 3-2 counts, and he struck out 4. He got his pitch, fouled it off.
Professor, I just think you did an imitation of me, an impression.
I did?
That's great. That's great analysis, isn't it? Well, let's hear it again. Wait. Oh, yes. I'm just a little
I can
bit.
even do it in slow motion if you want me to. All right, another full count.
Does he throw him an off-speed pitcher with first base open?
I don't think he's going to get a fastball.
I think you're right.
He gets a fastball, and it's low, ball 4. Third walk from Finnegan.
Tomorrow, MLB on FS1 is back with a big-time doubleheader. Division leaders square off when Bryce Harper and the Nationals battle Buster Posey and the Giants. Then the Cards try to tame the power of Giancarlo Stanton and the Marlins in a game you can only see on FS1. The action begins at noon Pacific on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go.
And Never Enough Baseball at 5 o'clock here on Fox Sports San Diego. Padres Live, the pregame show. Game 2 of our series with Cincinnati. Christian Friedrich, 4-6 against Anthony DeSclafani. He's 6-0 for the Reds. Well, here's Bethancourt again with men aboard. Can do some damage. Trailing 4-0. And he pulls it foul. He came up in Dickerson's spot in the first inning with runners at first and second, but struck out swinging. Myers at second, Kemp at first. Myers looked as if he's given a signal over to Kemp, like maybe be aware I might just try to pilfer third. He's got a good lead. One hopper to Phillips, over to Cozart, back to first, double play. Padres hit it hard again. First inning, a line drive out to third. Here with 2 on, a double play. San Diego presents Padres Baseball, brought to you by Sequan Casino. Sign up for the new Padres Club Card today. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Jack's Brewhouse Bacon Burger today at Jack in the Box. Limited time only at participating restaurants. And by Mercury Insurance. We're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com today. Top of the fourth, 4-0 Cincinnati. 4 runs in the first inning for the visitors. And leading it off is catcher Tucker Barnhart with pitcher Finnegan and the leadoff hitter Hamilton to bat here against Edwin Jackson. Top of the fourth. Barnhart flying to center his first time. Always a highlight. You get to the fourth inning here at home, and Mark Sweeney comes in and joins us in the booth. Now, don't you agree? I mean,
I love it.
Picks up the whole telecast.
The love level has just skyrocketed.
Look what's in there. You never know what's in there tonight.
You never know. You never. There's more makeup than should be on there. Welcome back, Professor.
Yeah, good to be back. Ground ball to second. Schimpf over to Myers for the first out here in the fourth.
So, Dick, you and I talked before the game. Cooperstown, how was it?
It just is. It's a magical place. I mean, it's this small, beautiful village, and it's just tucked into the Catskills, Shenandoahs, whatever, all those mountain ranges. It takes about a 2-hour drive from Albany to get there. And then, 50,000 people were there for the induction ceremonies. How they accommodate all those people. And Jane Clark is just, she's the woman who runs Cooperstown. A lot of people think that it's Major League Baseball operated. It is not. Major League Baseball cooperates. Cooperstown is an entity of itself. And there's such a pride in the community, and to be with the greatest players in the history of the game. I mean, I'm still a kid. I love to rub shoulders with the best.
What was your favorite conversation? Did any conversations stick out?
There were a lot of them. One of them, Dan Shaughnessy, who won the Writers Award, the Spink Award, and in his speech, I thought it was interesting. He was talking about his days when he was covering the Baltimore Orioles, as we Finnegan the pitchers up there. And you know how it is for a writer. They've got to get their story in on the last game of a series before they hop on the plane or get out of town to go to the next town. He said Earl Weaver would give them 3 if answers so that the writers could make the plane. He would give an answer: if we win, this will be my answer. If we another chance for Schimpf. Finnegan grounds out 4-3, 2 away. If we lose, yeah, here's my answer if we lose. And if we have a star of the game, if we do, here's my answer to that. So they had the 3 answers, and they could just plug those in and send in their story to make the next trip.
That's great.
That is great.
And the weather was great.
Perfect. There was no cloud in this. Well, there were a few clouds, but it's just 80, not too much humidity, and no, this little village comes to just life, and you're among friends. There's 50,000 visitors, but they're all there because they love baseball, and so the conversation continually is along that line. I did have one major thrill as we look at Billy Hamilton. After the parade, the Saturday they have the Frick and the Spink Award, and then there's the parade of all the Hall of Famers through the village, and all the folks crowding the side. And then they go to the Hall of Fame, and there's a reception there. And I saw Al Kaline, and he's, we're 18 together, and when he took my right field away from me in Detroit, and I'd seen him earlier at the hotel, he said, hey, we got to have a drink. We haven't done that. So I found him, and what the players do, they find their little niche, maybe 16 plaques in a little niche, and they find their place, and there's a table and chairs there, and so they go sit there, and that's how you know you can find them.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I asked, is Kaline here? He said, yeah. And so he said, where's his plaque? He said, what's over there, third one in. So I walked over right next to Willie Mays' plaque. And I asked him, I said, was he the best player you ever saw? He said, no question, Willie Mays, best I ever saw. So I had a chance to have a libation with Al Kaline.
That's nice.
Talk Tigers, talk about my roots in Michigan. There's a slap line drive to left center field as Hamilton just lays the bat on the ball, and he's got himself a single. And watch out now, he loves to run the bases. 7 hits for the Reds. I was really moved by Mike Piazza's speech. I thought it was brilliant. And you could, there are speeches where you read words, and then there are speeches where your heart reads the words. Definitely. And I really thought that they were both good, but I thought his particularly so.
The one that stuck out for Junior when he was up there for me was that he had that cool persona.
Yeah.
That he never really showed a lot of emotion. Well, when he got excited, he did. But the soft side of Ken Griffey Jr. really got me, and that's kind of when that choked me up a little bit.
I think both of them having the influences of what their fathers really made an impact on me in their speeches. I thought they were both fantastic.
Ken Griffey Sr. was just sitting over to my right, and he couldn't even look at his son. I mean, he had his head down right from the start. So I know when Junior looked out and saw his dad was probably crying before he even got up there. And that showed he was going to be really tough, and he's not going to cry. 20 seconds in, it was coming. It was flowing.
And when Mike Piazza showed his appreciation and his love for his dad in Italian,
how good was that?
That's when I lost it. I thought that was very, very sweet.
Yeah, it was. It was. When he said that we thought we had to buy a ticket to come here.
That's right.
And the impact of what his dad made.
Just think about that, and how do you figure this game? It comes down to what's baseball. Here's the first #1 draft pick ever to make it to the Hall of Fame, Griffey. And then what round was he?
62nd
round. Yeah. Piazza, I mean, everyone forgot him, and that was a justifiable punchline, a humor. I thought I'd have to buy a ticket to go to Cooperstown. You got to watch Hamilton here, leading the league with his 34 stolen bases. And all the time, I couldn't help but think, as I enjoyed the weekend, maybe next summer, Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to happen. I really do.
Cozart a triple and a single. And fouls it back.
Showed very well last year in the voting, and I think that surprised some people about what the closer is looked on in this game of baseball.
A lot of word behind the scenes for Edgar Martinez, and that's going to be an issue with someone who made most of their major league career as a designated hitter, you know, and they look ahead of David Ortiz. You know, it looks as if, you know, with his popularity, he's going to help Edgar Martinez, I think, get a chance to make it through. Line by Cozart. There's Jankowski to run it down. Cozart bidding for his 3rd hit of the night. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. It'll be Ryan Schimpf leading it off for the Padres. Now for a memorable moment in Padres history, brought to you by Geico. On this date, 1983, Steve Garvey's consecutive game streak ends at 1,207. He had injured his thumb against Atlanta. The streak remains the longest in National League history and the 4th longest ever in the majors, behind Cal Ripken, Lou Gehrig, and Everett Scott. Great moment in Padres history. Garvey was a Padre at the time.
There's Garvey's surfboard out there. San Diego Beach.
That's nice, isn't it?
I love that area.
I was out there for the home run derby. A lot of fun.
Bottom of the 4th. Schimpf rips one but foul.
Did you get many balls out there in the home run derby?
You know what? A guy caught one in his cup out there, the drinking cup.
Not the coffee cup. Okay,
right.
Yeah, the coffee.
And then, believe it or not, that was a very active area out there.
Right center?
During the home run derby.
How so?
Just a lot of balls hit that way.
But who's counting, huh?
Yeah.
How about the one that Stanton hit off the scoreboard?
Yeah, the lower left-hand corner, you bet. That was unbelievable. Yeah, I was out there somewhere.
Schimpf hits it high in the air, shallow in right center. Hamilton in quickly to make the catch for the first out here in the 4th. Brings up Derek Norris. Norris, tough luck hitting all season long. Bases loaded, first inning. Gets into one, squares it up, and drives it toward the left field corner. Would have been at least 2 runs, but able to reach up and snare it with Suarez at third base, and the Padres denied their best chance. You know, to get into the Hall of Fame, 75% of the baseball writers ballot. I mean, that's why there's a lot of great players that don't make it. It's kind of the two sides of the coin. On one hand, you say, how can he not be in the Hall of Fame? On the other hand, you say, because players like that aren't in the Hall of Fame, whoever that player is, it makes it so special when you finally are inducted. And think about Tony Oliva of the Minnesota Twins. Rod Carew, of course, was there, and Rod's waiting for a heart transplant, and bless him, even to be there in his condition. I mean, just let's hope that he's able to make it through this rest of this year. You got a lot of people pulling for him. What a great hitter. Well, he's going to be always known as the American League batting champion. Is going to be the Carew Award. Anyway, Tony Oliva last year, the senior ballot only has 16 voters. You still have to get 75%, so you have to get 12 votes. Seems like that should be easy.
Right.
Oliva got 11.
Wow.
I mean, it's just that close, and he's not in. And many feel that he should be there. But yeah, you go on down the lines, going back to Gil Hodges.
Yeah, even a local boy here, Alan Trammell. I think a lot of people would like to see him in that Hall of Fame.
2-2 to Norris. Way outside. Alexei Ramirez is next.
Mark Sweeney, what are your thoughts about the trade?
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of people and fans of baseball are wondering what direction the Padres are going, and they've seen it, obviously, with the influx of talent with 18, 19-year-olds.
5 strikeouts now.
And you look at Andrew Kashner and the start before the All-Star game, and then the last 3, he built his value in a seller's market. And I think that was probably, if you're a Padre fan, you're wondering if you gotten enough. I think there's a lot of people that say yes, this is a pretty good haul for Andrew Kashner and Colin Rea.
Okay, we got a couple of days left. Are the Padres through trading?
I would say no, because of what's going on right now. I think everyone is interested in if Derek Norris is going to be that guy. I say that that's a position that I think a lot of people are going to wonder, can we fortify and be a better club with Derek Norris on our team?
I agree with you, Mark. I think there's going to be one more deal. I could be totally wrong, but with the way the track record and AJ wants to try to load up on prospects, I'm sure there are still teams calling the Padres, asking about players. And I want to go back to my point regarding Andrew Kashner, why I think this deal is a win for the Padres. It has no reflection on Andrew not doing well with the Padres, but what I'm saying in return, the long term for the organization itself, because he was going to be a free agent at the end of the year, he probably wasn't going to be here anyway. So in that reason, getting what they got, the 3 pitchers, the young first baseman, I think it's a win for the Padres looking long term.
Well, and also you got to look at it too. Were you going to give Andrew Kashner a qualifying offer? That's upwards of $16 million. So trying to put a value tag on that trade, and if you were going to keep him next year, what's the best way to do it? I think AJ Preller and his staff did a tremendous job scouting every piece in this trade.
3-1 now to Ramirez. Bases empty, 2 outs here in the 4th, and the Reds scoring 4 times in the first inning, enjoying that 4-0 advantage. At the knees, 3-2.
You know, the analogy I've used before, I used it in the pregame show, but all these young prospects, they're lottery tickets, right? Do you have the holding winning ticket? Well, I'll tell you what, right now, A.J. Preller's got a lot of those lottery tickets in his pocket right now.
Chopped to the right side, charged by the veteran Phillips, and that's it for the Padres in the 4th. They go in order, and after 4 at Petco, 4-0 Cincinnati. First inning, a collision between Dickerson and Jankowski, and Dickerson forced to leave the game with a right hip contusion. And the Reds went on to get 4 runs. A sacrifice, one fly, 1-0. Then Phillips an RBI single, 2-0. And then Suarez lined a double to left center field to drive in a couple more. And Cincinnati enjoyed a 4-0 advantage before the Padres even came to bat. And that's how the score stands at the moment. Our Harrah's game summary. Top of the 5th, it'll be Votto, Bruce, and Duvall for Cincinnati. Votto has walked and grounded to second. .33 pitches per at bat, second only to Washington's Jason Worth.
Well, that tells me he has a plan. He knows what he wants to attack. He's very particular what he's going to swing at early in the count.
1-1. And for a number 3 hitter and a man of all his talent, I don't think there's a major leaguer that chokes up on the bat as much as Joey Votto.
Yeah, you think about Barry Bonds, the guys that would choke up and try to handle the barrel of the bat. That's the reasoning they choke up, just handling the barrel of the bat and trying to square it up. I remember talking to Barry Bonds about that, and he liked controlling it, but he used a bigger barrel bat to try to power the baseball.
And by choking up even that inch or so, that moves you a little closer to home plate. You see the strike zone a little better.
Turning on the inside fastball too, you get the better part of the bat on it, right?
You know, and the big thing with Joey Votto, and we always say stay inside the baseball, it's basically keeping it fair, not getting out front and hooking the baseball around. And that's what Joey Votto does the best. You'll see him foul balls off, but most of the time they'll be into the left field seats, much like that last one. He lets the ball travel a little bit further so he can stay in that strike zone and execute his plan.
Again, in this hitting streak of 12 games, batting .500, 20 for 40. There's a base hit to center. Just serves a nice little fly ball into the green grass. And the Reds have a hit in every inning. That's now a total of 8 in the game.
Well, you watch Joey Votto, and it's that fastball in that you talked about, Dick, and he didn't barrel it up, but it's a nice hitting because he's working the center of the field, 2-strike approach. Not the sexiest swing, but you see 2-strike approach and just dumping in center field. That's nice.
I know you're not going to get him out every time as we take a look at the shift, but if I'm seeing Joey Votto choke up like that, I'm pounding him away and soft stuff away and taking my chances that way.
Yeah.
Jay Bruce, a sac fly in the first, grounded to second in the third. Ball 1 too low. Yeah, most shifts employed in the National League. Jay Bruce sees it almost every at bat. Belt, Rizzo, Granderson, Bruce, Freeman, all left-handed hitters.
Well, you guys talked about the Great American Ballpark, and that's where you want to power the baseball. Very small ballpark, but offensive minded, and you're thinking about what you want to try to do there. You want to power the baseball. That's the reason why Jay Bruce is in a pull mode most times. There you go. 33% is where he maximizes those swings.
65% from the center field to the right field line. And he pulls that one to second base. There's one. Shimp to Ramirez, back to first, not in time. Bruce, for a big guy, can get up the line. Safe on the fielder's choice. So with one out, here's Adam Duvall. He's 2 for 2.
Watch Ryan Shimp here. See how he positions himself backhand so he can turn. Foot is planted rather than doing the in front and then the shovel pass. Trying everything he can to get it to second base quickly on the turn, and he just beats it out.
Duvall singled and scored in the first, tripled just over the leaping try of Kemp in right field the last time, but Padres with one out kept him at third. No further damage done in this 4-0 game.
Well, with that triple and right, you can see Matt Kemp as an outfielder. You'll take another extra step back. You can see him almost playing to that warning track, but being able to handle that ball over his head. A lot of outfielders like coming in for baseballs rather than going back.
Big hole left center field for Duvall. Jankowski shaded into right center. And popped up. Shallow and right. Schimpf angling toward the foul line to make the play. 2 away. And that brings up Brandon Phillips. RBI single and a strikeout for the veteran infielder. Goodness, he's been around a long time. This is his 1,566th game as a Cincinnati Red. Only Pete Rose and Tony Perez more games for Cincinnati in their history.
He's had a very good career.
Started off slow. You'd say he's a late bloomer. Became a perennial all-star at second base.
8 home runs from 200. Not bad for a second baseman. Has a half dozen this year. In the dirt, ball 1. So tomorrow it'll be Christian Friedrich against Anthony DeSclafani. DeSclafani, who shut out the Padres in Cincinnati 6-0. Hey, they are giving away those earbuds tomorrow night too.
Yes,
what are they called?
Earbuds. Yeah.
You got to tell everybody what you said before the game.
I don't know what they are. The earbugs, I thought they were.
Right here.
There's a base hit to right. He just slices that one the opposite way, and Bruce is on his way to third. And here comes Phillips to second, and here's the throw. No throw. Oh, Phillips caught Kemp tossing the ball into Schimpf, and he was a third of the way to second. And when he saw the lob toss, he goes and takes an extra 90 feet. That's a veteran's play.
Well, Brandon Phillips come out of the box is eyeballing Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp doesn't think he's going because he slow plays it around first base. Watch how he pauses just a little bit and then he takes off. Reading that little throw into Ryan Schimpf and taking advantage of that, especially with 2 outs.
Well, that's a rare double, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that ball wasn't cut, what type of play that would have been at second base. It would have been close.
Well, they gambled that that ball wasn't being thrown hard enough by Kemp. And so second and third with 2 outs, and the Padres can ill afford the Reds to add to their 4-0 lead here in the 5th. Suarez has knocked in 2 with a double and grounded out to third the last time. Not quite good enough to be called a strike.
Well, that first double in his first at bat was that slow breaking ball. He went to the slider that first pitch.
Bruce at third, Phillips at second with 2 gone. And there's a base hit to left, and that'll give the Reds 2 more runs. Suarez makes his turn. He'll go on to second. 2 runs come in, and Suarez is safe as the throw gets by Ryan Schimpf, and it's 6-0 Cincinnati.
Well, that's frustrating because with 2 outs, Brandon Phillips on second base where he should have been on first. I don't believe he's scoring on that, so that adds to the frustration of the Padres. Nice hitting by Suarez up the middle again.
And Edwin Jackson just catching too much of the plate there.
And they're going to rule that a single and a error charge to Bethancourt. But nevertheless, Suarez having a big night. A single, a double, and 4 runs batted in. Well, these Reds, we told you, no one's played better in the National League since the All-Star game than Cincinnati. 8-4. Check that one team has, and kind of overlooked in all the action, and that's Colorado. They've won again tonight. They're 11-4 since the break, and they're just 1 game under 500 suddenly. They're 51-52. Buddy Ballman, left-hander, wearing the red Grange number 77. The new version of the Galloping Ghost out there in the bullpen.
University of Illinois, right?
Correct.
Well, now the outfield on the shallow side. Jankowski really shallow in center field.
Swing and a miss by Barnhart, who was flied out and grounded out. 6 runs, 10 hits for Cincinnati. No runs, 2 hits for the Padres. Check that, it's Finnegan up there now.
Well, if you're Brian Price, you got to like the way Cincinnati Reds are playing. You talked about the record, Dick, with them playing much better baseball. You see them hitting, but also aggressive on the base pass, getting good pitching. That's the formula to win a lot of ball games in this league.
2 strikes now on the pitcher Finnegan, and tonight's game presented by Sony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. Well, Edwin Jackson in his first 2 starts with the Padres, giving up only 4 earned runs in 12+ innings, but unable to get a easy 1-2-3 inning tonight against the Reds. They've collected a base hit every inning. 4 runs, 4 hits in the first, and now 2 runs on 3 more hits here in the 5th inning.
Well, before the game, we were talking to Tommy Brenneman, who's in town. He's going to work his first game tomorrow, pal, since being back from throat surgery. We wish him well.
We do.
He's doing great, and Tommy's awesome. But he was telling us, Mark, about the bullpen for the Reds. Was it the month of July? Their ERA is like 1.5?
Yeah, they're worst in baseball at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And now they are just turning it around and throwing spectacularly after these starters have done their job.
And you wonder, though, as we move forward without Aroldis Chapman, are they going to be able to fill that lights out role to close out games? But so far so good.
Yeah, they've got Tony Cingrani from the left side. They've got Iglesias, who's throwing the ball well from the right side. And you know, he made a good point, because a lot of the guys, Brian Price, can now go multiple innings. Nowadays we're seeing guys go 1 inning. But a lot of the guys in the bullpen for the Reds right now, they're former starters.
Yeah.
So they're kind of conditioned to where they can go an inning or 2, and you know, in a pinch, maybe go 3.
Having trouble putting away Finnegan. There, he gets him a swing and a miss. And he had a chance to run that one out, but stayed at home plate, and so Maris collects the out 2-3 at first. But 2 more for the Reds. We're at the halfway mark in this one. 6-0 Cincinnati. trade brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Talk about Brandon Finnegan, the left-hander. Oh, it's hitting his spots. Plus, he's getting a good lead working tonight, 6-0. But watch these pitches here. Out of the corner, mixing in a breaking ball in every now and then, going up and out of the zone. The hard-throwing left-hander. He's a max effort guy every single pitch out there. He leaves it all out there on that hill. And he's got quite a lead to work with tonight. Fastball, slider, pretty much 3 pitches. We've seen a few changeups there, but he relies heavily on the heater.
And it appears here in the bottom of the 5th inning, we're going to see the major league debut of Jose Rondon, the 22-year-old infielder, called up today. Part of the Houston Street trade with the Angels a couple of years ago. But first, Adam Rosales will start things in the 5th inning, down 6-0. Struck out his first time facing Finnegan. And lines one into left field for a base hit. There's the start. And here comes Jose Rondon. I bet his heart is beating right through that San Diego on his jersey. Venezuelan.
Memories of your first at bat, Mark Sweeney. What was going through your mind?
I couldn't feel my legs. That's what was going through my mind. You take that weight off your bat, you walk up, and you're like, this is such a surreal moment. But I had no feeling in my legs. And then you debate if you're going to swing at the first pitch or not.
Rondon. The minor leagues before being called up. 96 games, hitting .279. There it is, 5 homers. And he lines one hop right to Cozart, and they're going to turn that into a double play. Well, that's tough luck. He hit it right on the nose. That's what's been happening tonight. Hard hit balls by the Padres. They're going for outs, and that's the second double play turned by Cincinnati. Can't do anything about that, young man. He hit it hard. So 2 away to Travis Jankowski. He struck out in flight up. So again, the Padres looking for a home run tonight. That's part of the drama of the evening, and that won't do it. A high fly ball. Easy chance for Hamilton, and with the double play, a quick 5th inning for Brandon Finnegan. We go to the 6th, down by 6. As we go to the 6th inning, and Buddy Ballman for the second time as a Padre enters the game, and our pitching change brought to you by El Cajon Ford.
You see the numbers at El Paso, the Chihuahuas, 15 games, really nice ERA, 20 1/3 frames, and a strikeout guy, strikeout pitcher. And look at the splits. Lefties having their troubles with him. 0.97, Fastball, breaking ball, change up for the left-hander. Baumann, he realized the situation.
Might have made the club in spring training, but he suffered an early injury and missed basically all of spring training and parts of April. Working himself back into condition, and he'll face the top of the order: Hamilton, Cozart, and Votto. Hamilton 1 for 3.
Kind of short arms the ball too. Comes at you. Almost kind of pushes it a little bit. Really doesn't get extended with the arm. Almost a la Sid Fernandez. Remember Sid Fernandez?
I do. And guys that short arm it, it gets on you quickly.
Look at that.
Pops it up back of home plate. And Norris, will he get a play? Oh, just over the netting.
Well, Sid Fernandez was bigger in stature, a little taller, not much though. But watch how when the ball comes out, hides his back, you know, showing the back, and then right there comes kind of like from the ear back, and then not really getting extended out in front, out beyond the hat, so you can see it.
A 1-1 pitch is outside. Padres signed Baumann to a major league free agent contract last December. And this is his second major league game. Minors, he was 19 and 16 since breaking in 2009 as a professional. Went to Missouri State. Falls behind Hamilton, 3-1. And he ran away, walks Hamilton. That can spell danger with that speedster aboard. Leadoff walk.
You know, guys, we talked about the draft and also what you're trying to acquire if you're A.J. Preller and everybody else. Obviously, this trade is first and foremost, but one of those pieces that I think a lot of people haven't talked about too much is the Carter Capps piece, because this is a guy that throws triple digits, obviously coming off Tommy John, and you have to get him back on track. But that's a piece moving forward that I think a lot of people don't understand how talented he is coming out of the bullpen. 100 miles an hour, but also one of those guys that's fearful, has a fearful delivery, a lot of body parts coming at you.
Funky delivery.
Remember, he's the one you fans, he almost takes an extra step off the rubber. He skips into home plate and recovering from Tommy John, so he should be available to the Padres next year sometime.
Well, it's easy to focus on the young arms and how they're going to develop, but you also have to become how dangerous you're going to put the team together. And I think a lot of people are starting with that bullpen. Ryan Buchter's here, Brandon Maurer, you add a Carter Capps to that, then you're starting to develop that bullpen that I think is really dangerous, and you can shorten those games.
And with the complete game, as we all know, has gone by the wayside, right? You need those arms to bridge that gap.
Runner goes inside the throw, and Hamilton steals it easily. Racks up number 35 on the season. So that's when you walk him, and might as well look at your scorecard and write double, because he winds up on second base.
Left-hander, does he go on first move? You bet. You know, he even paused a little bit. Still beats it easily.
I could see him have that walking lead, but the speed of Hamilton easily into second base.
It takes away the double play ball, and the count now 2-1 on Zach Cozart. A triple, a single, and a line out to center. He's hit the ball hard 3 straight times. So here's a reminder, Carter Capps. Remember this? Watch his motion off the rubber, almost like a kind of a little double step off the rubber, and he's not throwing from 60 feet 6. He's throwing more like 59-6.
I mean, it's tough to hit major league pitching as it is already. Mark Sweeney mentioned the triple digits. So when you get that herky-jerky motion, you get a little closer to home plate, the timing will mess you up quite a bit.
Oh. You really don't trust that he's going to throw a strike with those type of mechanics.
Pops that out of play.
It makes it very uncomfortable at bat, especially for the right-handers.
And remember, there's been people who have said that's an illegal pitch because he's pushing off the mound and then his foot is hitting again on the ground, and then he's throwing off that second push.
Yeah, but now that he's in a Padre uniform, it's totally legal.
Absolutely. I like it a lot.
I love that delivery.
That's a good point. So a full count to Cozart with Hamilton at second base. No one out. And a broken bat looper to Ramirez at shortstop. One away.
I forgot who it was that caused us to think about that, but Major League Baseball deemed it a legal pitch.
Joey Votto, a walk, scored a run in the first. He's grounded out and looped a single to center field. Not only the Vegas Park in the Park party before the game tonight, it's also college night here at Petco. College students able to get good big league seats for $10. Always great to have them aboard. I'm not sure I like this whole habit of.
Yeah, but who doesn't love college night?
Well, that's right. But, yeah, but the lights.
Don't they do that in Arizona?
They do.
Yeah, but I don't like it there either.
Not
Is
a fan?
that okay? You know, the nice thing about is you're not that you get older, but as you become more mature, is you get kind of cranky at things.
Oh,
you know,
of course,
a little less patient.
Well, at least they're doing it with smiles on their faces.
Yeah, that's right. They're happy. Hey, who isn't happy coming to a ballpark at Petco, especially?
Be wearing down your battery. That's what I'm concerned about. I might have to make a call later.
Ground ball up the middle, and Ramirez able to slide and make the stop and throw out Votto for the second out, with Hamilton moving over to third.
Well, the awareness of the veteran shortstop for Ramirez. Watch how he goes to his left, and he knows the runner gets up, knows he has time, and throws an accurate throw to Will Myers to get Votto easily. Good glove work by the veteran shortstop.
So that brings up the cleanup hitter, Jay Bruce. Sac fly in the first, ground out to second, and safe on a fielder's choice, and scored a run in the fifth on the single by Suarez. Leading the National League now with 80 runs batted in, Bruce. Arenado, Rizzo, Murphy. What is it about those left-handed hitters driving in runs, huh?
Well, we said it before in his first at bat, that sacrifice fly, just good hitting going the other way. Sometimes you got to sacrifice your at bat. Yes, you'd like to hit the 2-3 run homers, but when there's money out there, you're going to have to drive runs in.
1-2. Common a strike away from pitching out of trouble here in the sixth. He's got Hamilton over at third. Up on the handle. Here's a home run hitter with 2 strikes on him, giving a little luck. Checks his swing, doesn't go.
Well, that might be the influence of what Joey Votto has on a younger hitter like Jay Bruce. Let's see if he goes.
Oh, I guarantee you went. Look at that.
You look at it.
He most definitely went.
Pretty close.
Oh, of course, Sweeney says no. That's tired. If he hits it, it's a double.
Oh, my gosh. How'd I know that was coming?
2-2.
You love the check swing, much like the lights.
Fireflies at Petco.
Yeah.
Now they're dancing.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Buddy Bauman, his second appearance in the major leagues here with the Padres, gets out of trouble in the 6th. For greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. MLB news and notes. Ichiro 0 for 4 tonight. Needs 2 more hits to reach 3,000 in the major leagues here in America. Carlos Gonzalez Cargo continues his hot hitting, and the Rockies have now won 8 of their last 11. And Junior Guerra in Milwaukee has a big night as well.
Yeah, we saw Junior Guerra pitch against the Padres in Milwaukee. He's had a nice year for the Brew Crew.
Padres Myers, Kemp, and Bethancourt to bat here against Brandon Finnegan in the 6th inning. They have only 3 hits off the left-hander. Myers a double the last time up. Kemp a single in the 1st inning, and Rosales a single in the 5th inning. But a couple of double plays have ended possible comeback bids. And there's a soft fly ball to right, but Bruce comes in to make the catch for the 1st out. So Cincinnati, since the All-Star break, 8-4. They're pitching with a 3.88 ERA, and the bullpen down to 2.3 something. A marked difference from before the All-Star game.
Yeah, Michael Lorenzen, Raisel Iglesias, Tony Cingrani, integral parts of the Reds bullpen as Leonel Campos starts to heat up for the Padres.
They brought him up from El Paso with an announcement of the trade. So Campos and Rondon joining the big club. Matt Kemp been on base both times with a single and a walk. And trailing 6-0. Interest in that home run streak grows in importance. Can the Padres hit a home run tonight and set the National League record for home runs in consecutive games at 26? Outside 1 and 2.
And it really isn't on your mind until you actually hit that home run. I don't think they're trying to hit home runs. They're trying to go out there and give competitive at bats. I think you got to tip your cap to Finnegan to this point.
Roller to third. That's a very tough play for Suarez. He charges and can't make the play. Not in time. Kemp has his 2nd hit. Swinging bunt single. 4th hit of the night against Finnegan.
Suarez playing back, and this is one heck of a play, but I think as soon as Matt Kemp hit this ball, he realized how far back Suarez was playing, so he's got to turn it on. Hey, that's a big league knock. They're hard enough to come by as it is already, so Matt Kemp hustles down the line the best he can. Hey, let's face it, Matt Kemp doesn't have blazing speed.
Not anymore, but he smelled that beautiful odor of a base hit.
Yes, he most certainly did.
I should say aroma. Bethancourt hitting in the cleanup spot. That was Alex Dickerson's spot, but Dickerson injured in the collision with Jankowski back in the first inning as they tried to go after the line drive hit by Cozart. So Bethancourt filling in. They struck out and grounded into a double play, and both occasions Padres had with one out man at first and second. 2-0 the count to Bethancourt. Close, but no call. 3-0. Finnegan has walked 3, struck out 5. Bullpen busy for the Cincinnati Reds. Right down the middle. 3-1.
Well, no need to swing 3-0 in this situation. Too many runs back.
One hopper to third, over to second for 1, back to first. Another double play for the Reds. Goodness, that's 3 double plays tonight, 2 of them off the bat of Christian Bethancourt. By Jerome's Furniture, proud sponsor of the best seats in the house. By Petco, your complete pet store. And by your San Diego County Lexus dealers. Dick Enberg with Mark Grant, Mark Sweeney, Michelle Margot here at beautiful Petco Park. Completed the 6 innings tonight with the Cincinnati Reds rolling to a 6-0 lead. Buddy Bauman into his second inning of work. Duvall, Phillips, and Suarez scheduled for the Reds. Duvall a single and a triple in his 3 at-bats.
Hey, good opportunity, right, Professor, for Buddy to get some innings in at the big league level and get comfortable out there on the hill.
They list him at 5'11". He's somewhere between 5'8" and 5'11". Think back to some of the one of the greats that I saw at Cooperstown, Whitey Ford.
Oh,
He was 5'9", 5'10".
Sure.
I mean, they've been stars like Bobby Shantz. Remember the name Bobby Shantz? He was 5'6", left-hander.
Remember guys like Billy Wagner threw extremely hard.
Popped up off first. Myers hustling toward the barrier and makes the play. 1 out to Brandon Phillips. Phillips an RBI single and scored a run in the first and then doubled and scored in the fifth. So he's been in the middle of both run scoring innings for Cincinnati tonight. 4 in the first, 2 in the fifth inning. Just under the ankles of Phillips. You know, something else at Cooperstown, I certainly would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that everywhere I went, and when people knew, of course, that I was involved with the Padres, the praise for the All-Star game and what a great job our city and the Padres did in hosting the All-Star Classic. Everyone aglow. I heard more than one time they ought to have it in San Diego every year.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. That's great. Everywhere I go, I talk to people throughout baseball, and they said they didn't notice one hitch the whole time that Major League Baseball and the Padres put this thing together. So that's great. It was electric, Professor.
It was. You know, in the home run derby, you know, at the start of the home run derby, it was more just something to do on the Monday and the TV event. That's become a big deal.
I walked in this place, you know, to look up at the upper deck and see every seat occupied. And then to walk around the ballpark and just feel the buzz, the sights and the sounds and the smells, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, our city and the Padre organization doing themselves proud. How to play. You know, the other comment there, nice play by the fan there in the second deck, is the fact that fans would say what we loved about San Diego. Of course, they always love the weather. I mean, that's a given. They loved the way they were entertained. They loved the fact that they didn't need a car. They could walk to everything. They could walk from the hotels to the ballpark, walk into all the great restaurants and taverns in town. And the convenience of our city for a big event. Of course, conventioneers know that well. And it all goes back to the fact that Petco Park was built because that re-energized the whole downtown area and brought new restaurants and hotels to the heart of our city.
Yeah, it's only going to get better.
2-2 to Phillips. Swing and a miss. He got him to go up the ladder. 2 away. And that takes us to In the Driver's Seat, brought to you by Kia. Who's in the driver's seat tonight? And it looks as if it's Eugenio Suarez with a single and double and 4 runs batted in.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard. You know, there are guys who have the broken bat single or the check swing double down the line. Well, for Suarez, both balls been hit very hard.
Same place, left center field. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Reds' third baseman. Well, don't forget tomorrow night the free giveaway on Saturday night, baseball night in San Diego, the Earbuds giveaway.
Got him right here, Professor.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, now, see, I didn't get my copy, my sample.
You can have mine.
It comes in a nice little package. Padre package, does it? Line foul. Watch out.
Well, here's the package they come in. It's a little plastic cylinder right here.
Small, medium, large.
Sponsored by United, right there. Yeah, you've got your different sizes, and they're right here. They got the SD logo, so when you're out walking the streets of La Jolla and rocking out on Pandora or listening to your iTunes, just tune into Taylor Swift, maybe a little Drake.
Drake, yeah, Sir Francis.
Yeah,
he gave some good speeches, old Sir Frank.
These are cool, though. It's a nice giveaway.
It really is. So free for all you fans in attendance tomorrow night. Big crowd expected for game 2 of the series. And way inside, and Suarez is on base for the 3rd time. A 2-out walk from Baumann. Second free ticket from the left-hander. And Darren Balsley, quick visit to the bullpen. Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, is flying to center, grounded out, and intentionally walked tonight. Up high, ball one. Well, getting a nice workout, Bauman. 38 pitches.
Do you listen to music, Professor?
Not a lot, really.
Really?
You know, I enjoy classical music.
I do too. I really do. Seriously.
And you know, I just even though I'm an old disc jockey, you know, back in the 50s,
Spinning the wax.
Spinning the wax there. I didn't always cue them up correctly. So a lot of when I was on deck there playing music, most of the records started with a wow. But that's Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett days now.
Vinyl's making a comeback.
And how's that?
It's becoming more and more popular. The old traditional
33 and a third.
Yes, and the record players, where you put them on. And
sure.
It's a turntable. There you go. Becoming much more popular. So
like the old Nickelodeons.
Yeah, all those people that have, when you walk into somebody's collection at their house, all the albums are lined up. Yeah. That's making a comeback.
Good. I'm going to have to go check the storage there. We might have some. Worth some money, you think?
Depends on the market. Depends on who loves those type of albums and that type of music that would pay to take them off your hands. I remember my mom and dad had an album still stuck in my mind. Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Great stuff.
Yeah, it is. Still plays, right? I remember, that I was into music in those days. I mean, that popular music.
That stereo we had, that console in our living room weighed about 8,000 pounds.
2-2 to Barnhart.
And put it right next to the Davenport.
Davenport, right near and then you'd run into the ice box and get yourself a cold one.
Mark, get your feet off the Davenport.
Runner goes, ball four. That's the third walk from Bauman. Couple here with 2 outs in the 7th inning brings up the pitcher's spot.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Tyler Holt will be the pinch hitter for Finnegan. So Finnegan, solid effort. 6 shutout innings as he goes for his 6th win of the year. Only 4 hits, no runs. Finnegan was wild early but settled down, walked 3, all in the first 3 innings. And struck out 5.
Hey, pretty good workout there for Buddy Bauman. 45 pitches total. Really not the best ball strike ratio. But 1 pitch possibly from getting out of this first and second situation.
And he strikes him out on 3 pitches. 2 good innings without allowing a base hit for Buddy Bauman in his 2nd Padre appearance.
extra grind to the field, the extra passion. Everything that you got built up inside, bring that to the field.
We're not trying to create kind of the next homegrown hero. We're more of an inclusive camp for kids to come and have a great time and just fall in love with the Padres brand.
I've never just played baseball to make it to the big leagues. I played it to be the best pitcher out there.
Well, an all-new episode of Padres POV airs tonight after Padres Live, the post-game show. As you just saw, I sat down with the rookie Buddy Bauman as we got a pedicure, got to know him pretty well. You definitely don't want to miss it. Mark, I know you're a guy that gets pedicures, right?
You know what, Michelle? I haven't, but you know what? It's on my list to get done this offseason. The more and more
I'll take you.
Yeah, the more and more I learn about it, and everybody that gets them done, they just rave about pedicures.
I get them done every 2 weeks.
I have had a manicure before.
You might need it.
Well, yeah. If you look at my pups, you would say I need one.
Buddy enjoyed it.
I'm sure. They treat you with the velvet gloves, and
he did not get polished, though. I'll tell you that.
No. I've gotten a manicure before, and I enjoyed it. No polish, and just clean up the nails a little bit. It's nice.
Michael Lorenzen out of the Reds bullpen, and Ryan Schimpf, first ball hunting, drives that deep at way foul. He's walked and flied to center tonight. So Finnegan goes 6 shutout innings, allows only 4 hits, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. And Lorenzen takes over here in the 7th. 0-2 now to Schimpf. Lorenzen is 24, went to Fullerton High School, and then stayed right at home to play outfield at Cal State Fullerton, and also serve as a relief pitcher for the Titans. Came up to the bigs last year, went 4-9 with a 5.40 ERA.
He's a 4-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. He's got a pretty good arm, mid-90s, 4-seamer. Sometimes he'll cut that pitch.
Swing and a miss, off speed, had Schimpf out in front. 1 away here in the 7th.
This looks like the curveball or a slider. Let's see out of the hand here. It looks like curveball. Getting up on top of it, straight down. Good break.
Well, a big turning point in the game came in the bottom of the 1st inning. The Reds had scored 4 in the top half of the inning. Padres loaded them up on 2 walks and a single, and Derek Norris came up and hit a shot aimed toward the left field corner, but Suarez able to go up the ladder and spear it. And the Padres denied their best chance to score tonight. If that ball gets over Suarez's head, at least a 4-2 game, maybe even 4-3. The inning continues, but not to be. And the Reds then add 2 more against starter Edwin Jackson in the 5th inning for their current 6-0 lead. Ramirez to follow here in the 7th. Still on the line, the possible National League record, consecutive games with a home run. Padres start tonight with 25 in a row. No National League team has ever gone 26 straight. Two and two.
Well, Lorenzen spent some time on the DL, and he made his first appearance off that DL against the Padres in Cincinnati. And so the kid's got a live arm. He just touched 96. Looks like he's getting through the ball nicely.
He was picked 38th overall just 3 years ago in the draft. And he gets Norris to chase. And that's back-to-back strikeouts to open the 7th for Michael Lorenzen.
Looks like he went back to the curveball.
Well, it's time for our Fan Diego fans of the game.
And we saw him earlier, future big leaguer right there.
He's staying right to the final out, apparently. That's a good sign.
Oh, college night, huh?
Hubba hubba. You still say that on campus? I think it's all the campus. You go around campus now, you hear it all the time.
You know, I can see it right now. Some college campus out there open up a tavern or a bar called the Hubba Hubba.
That's not a bad idea, huh?
Yeah.
We could make guest appearances on 2 for the price of 1 night.
Hey, get behind the bar and draw some drafts, right?
Happy hour. Hey, we're happy.
And we can take our tips and donate to a charity of our choice. Right?
Wave and miss 1 and 2. Come on now. No, got to hide the yawns now.
That's a sweet floppy hat right there.
Got a couple innings to go. Hubba hubba.
Glad to see Mrs. Haverkamp here tonight.
Two and two. Ramirez, who's grounded out both at bats. Strikes out the side. Wow. Michael Lorenzen, very impressive 7th inning for the tall right-hander. On to the 8th at Petco.
Continues to hit well as the Nationals taking on the Giants in San Francisco.
Mike, Bruce Bochy's got to be scratching his head. The way the Giants came out of the All-Star break and the way they're performing, only 2 wins. And if it stays this way, only 2 wins still, I think it's time for a team meeting and a discussion with the boys.
Even having trouble in their own ballpark, which is atypical for the Giants. When Mark and I see you on Padres Live, the post-game show brought to you by Cox Communications. You're also going to get your perspective on what's going on with the trade deadline looming, which is this Monday. So Scott Miller, our Fox Sports San Diego MLB insider, is going to be with us. He'll give you the latest, including that on Jay Bruce, who's been rumored to have been traded already 18 times in his career, and now it's still pending. So we'll see what happens with Jay Bruce, and you'll hear from Andy Green. All that and more coming up after the final out. Dick and Mark.
All right, Michael and Mark will be with you the post-game show. Yeah, the Giants, their lead shrinking by the day. They lead the Dodgers by only 2 going into play tonight. Dodgers in Arizona in a score fest, 8-7 Dodgers in the 7th inning. Keith Essler, the third Padre pitcher tonight. Baumann 2 shutout innings. And Alexi Amarista goes in at shortstop. Double switch. Amarista put him in the 9th spot in the batting order. Will hit second in the bottom half of the inning. High pop up middle of the infield. Off the bat of Billy Hamilton, and it's Schimpf with the catch. Shallow right field. So a check of the NL West. Dodgers lurking 2 back. Colorado winning again tonight, 8.5 out. And then the Padres battling Arizona for 4th.
Yeah, the interesting team there is obviously the Giants with the lack of wins lately, but Colorado, it always seems like every year they start off well, and then once the season goes on, then it starts to dwindle a little bit. Well, will they be able to hang on?
You know, one of the reasons why they're playing so well, and thinking back to what the series we last saw, those 2 young right-handers, Chatwood and Gray. I mean, every time they pitch, they give the Rockies a chance to win.
They got some good arms.
Cozart, a triple, a single, a line out, and a pop-up tonight. High fly ball deep right center. Jankowski toward the warning track, has room for the out. 2 away, and it's time now for the Bill Howe play of the game. Alexei Ramirez taking away a base hit from Joey Votto, going behind second base.
The nice thing about this play is when he gloves it, then his momentum is going towards right field. He could just do the old barrel roll, get some momentum on that throw to first base for the nice play.
Our Bill Howe play of the game tonight. 2 away to Votto, who has walked, grounded out twice, and looped a single to center. So he's hit safely now in 13 straight games. Cozart has extended his hitting streak to 10. Bruce, without a hit so far tonight, has a current 9-game streak. For Hessler, this is his 5th appearance. He's worked 6 innings previously, giving up 12 hits and 10 runs. And a 4-pitch walk to Votto. So he's walked twice tonight and 76 times this season. Base on balls to Votto. Jay Bruce. Sac fly, ground out, fielder's choice and scored, and struck out the last time. So his hitting streak in jeopardy at 9 games in a row. In there for a strike. Bruce, remember, has homered in 5 consecutive games and 7 in the last 9. The 80 RBIs lead all major league outfielders. High pop up back of the plate, and that's going to make it over the screen. So in this 5-game home run streak, 6 homers altogether, and of course there's the bandbox homer in Cincinnati, just into the first row. But that one will go a little farther.
Yeah, there's no reason why I think this time around that Jay Bruce would be traded. And Mike Pomerantz and Mark Sweeney kind of joked about it, but being traded for the 18th time, because he's just one of those guys whose names always come up during the trade deadline, but still wearing the red leg uniform.
You know, this is his 9th season. He's still a young guy. He's not 30 yet. He's hit at least 18 home runs each of those 9 years. He's the 2nd Reds player to do it, starting their first 9 years, hitting at least 18. The other was Frank Robinson. 33,509 at Petco tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night and Sunday, Military Sunday. High fly ball hit well to center, but Jankowski camped under it. And that's it for the Reds. Top of the 8th. Time running out on the Padres. They trail 6-0. Padres have not been shut out since back at Cincinnati when tomorrow night's pitcher D. Sclafani shut them out. And look ahead this Sunday, MLS soccer on Fox Sports Go, and watch it live here on Fox at 10:30 a.m. That's a good Western Conference showdown. The Portland Timbers against Sporting KC this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Lorenzen struck out the side coming into the 7th inning, faces Rosales. Alexi Amarista will bat in the 9th spot, and then Jankowski here in the bottom of the 8th. 1-1. Rosales has grounded to short, grounded to second, and check that. He is struck out and singled tonight. 1 for 2. And the count 1-2. Didn't go, says first base umpire Greg Gibson.
Well, the Padre hitters are going to have to turn up the dial against Lorenzen.
Foul off the catcher. And time now to check the Cholula flame thrower.
Well, with Lorenzen on the hill, last inning touched 96. How about 97? It's hot sauce. Finnegan was about, 93-ish.
That's tepid sauce.
Yeah.
Strike 3. Caught looking Rosales. 4 strikeouts in a row for Lorenzen.
Peppered away, and there's a curveball. Got some strikeouts in that first inning of work. In the 7th with the curveball, and he gets Adam Rosales there.
Alexi Amarista in the double switch, batting in the 9th spot of the order. Six nothing Reds. They got 4 in the first inning and never look back. Amarista's had only 88 at bats this year with 21 hits. And make that 22 if that can get away from Hamilton, and it does elude the center fielder. A long single for Amarista. The Padres' 5th hit of the night with 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
I was focusing on Hamilton when Alexi hit that ball to right center field, and I'll tell you what, one of the advantages of a center fielder having speed is cutting it down and holding them to a single. Alexi was thinking too. And right out of the box you should. But look at, he's playing way over on the shortstop side. Look at how quickly he gets to this ball, spins and gets it in quickly. That's covering some ground there. We hear about covering ground and catching fly balls on the track, but hey, holding them to a single is covering some ground as well.
Jankowski has struck out and fly twice to center. And takes a strike. Will Myers moves into the on deck circle. Six runs, 10 hits for the Reds. No runs, 5 hits for the Padres. Slap foul down into the souvenir corner. Myers tonight been on base a couple of times with a double and a walk.
Oh, how darling is that? Hard holding back the smile, showing it off for everybody. You bet.
In the dirt. 1-2. There's the Padres box score with Kemp 2 hits and a walk leading the way. Myers with a double. Down the bottom of the order, singles for Rosales and Amarista. Pretty good pitch. 2-2. A lot of breaking balls from Lorenzen here in the second.
Yeah,
it's
been a strikeout pitch, no doubt.
To second, to short, to first. That's a third double play turned by the Reds tonight. That's been a killer. Make that the fourth double play. So that's every chance for the Padres. They get a man on and they hit the ball hard, but to a glove. And on this occasion for 6-3 to double up the speedy Jankowski. Game break. Yasmani Grandal with a 7-7 tie grounds it into right center field, and that gives the Dodgers an 8-7 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning as they've gone back and forth in a high-scoring game up at Dodger Stadium. Dodgers with a win and San Francisco with a loss, and the Dodgers will be just one game out of first place. Keith Hessler will get a second inning of work. He faces Adam Duvall here in the top of the ninth. A broken bat and a soft fly ball into shallow right center. That's a tough play, but Jankowski's speed able to run it down for the first out. Duvall gone. Well, time now to go back to the start of the game when we offered our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, Professor, get the red pen out. Finish Finnegan, 6 innings, 4 hits. He did not give up a run. He struck out 5. F. Don't let Bruce beat you. 0 for 4 with a sac fly, and he has scored a run. So
that's I'll give you a C on that. So overall, I don't want you to get a failing grade. So I'm going to give you a C- for the day. Man, that's too generous. D+.
Oh, so I have to go to summer school?
Well, we'll talk about it after the game. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Can I do some extra credit? I can take
extra credit.
I can take it.
Okay.
Were you an extra credit guy, or was your philosophy, hey, get it done in the classroom? It's either there or nowhere.
That was my philosophy. Yeah. Although, if a student was sincere and said, listen, I'll do, what do you want me to do? There's a line drive hooking into the left field corner, and it is a fair ball. Brandon Phillips on his way to second. That's a ground rule double. And for Phillips, his third hit tonight, a single and a pair of doubles. See, the big thing was the sincerity of the student. If they, fooled around the entire semester and showed me no indication that they wanted to get a good grade, then I'm not going to be kind at the end. But if there's somebody really trying hard, wanting to learn, willing to do the little extra work, a man like you,
Mr. Renberg.
Dr. Enberg, I'm sorry.
Dr. Enberg,
I forget about it. If you don't even know my title.
I would ask that if you find it in the kindness of your heart, if you'd let me
see you
do some extra credit.
Yeah, that's nice words, but let me see the action here. Come on.
Let me see the action.
Yeah, let's see the extra work. Where is it? I don't see any extra work here. You can come in Saturday mornings. I'm grading papers on Saturday morning, and we'll see if we can't find you.
I don't have an apple, but I have a baseball here that you could maybe put on your desk. I know you're a big baseball fan, Dr. Enberg.
I am a big
I
baseball
can get Al
fan.
Kaline to sign it.
How about Sam Liederkranz? All right, a 1-out double. Phillips. We're in the 9th inning, and all this nonsense continues. Suarez has knocked in 4, and he's got a man in scoring position again. Doubled in 2 in the first, singled in 2 more in the 5th. He's also walked tonight. And he drives that one to center. Jankowski turns his back and makes the catch, going away. Boy, he gets a good read on the ball, and then with that terrific speed makes another big league catch. That was extra bases. He takes a double away from Suarez. Moving to third, Phillips on the play.
Tell you, Suarez has squared up some hits tonight, and Travis Jankowski takes away extra bases. It's that jump he gets off the ball, and then the jump at the last second to time it perfectly. Oh, Freddie, the kid they call Freddie, is covering some serious ground. And even though you're trailing 6-0, that's one heck of a play.
Second out with Phillips moving to third. Here's Tucker Barnhart. He's flied out, grounded out, walked the last 2 times, and he sends one toward Jankowski. He's vacuuming a lot of outs tonight. That's 2, 3, 4. And the last 2 innings, 4 catches for Jankowski. Bottom of the 9th coming up for the Padres. The 9th with a 6-0 lead. Home run streak, National League tie record for the Padres, 25 consecutive games. And look at the bottom note. The first home run in the 25 game streak 3 different times was hit in the 9th inning. So maybe that's what's up ahead tonight. Here we go, bottom of the 9th, and Myers, Kemp, and Bethancourt scheduled for the Padres. Well, the injury to Alex Dickerson, who is slotted in the cleanup spot, who knows? I mean, he's hurt in the first inning, doesn't come to bat. Bethancourt replaces him, and with men on base twice, with 2 men on, another with a single man aboard. Bethancourt unable to deliver a strikeout, 2 double play balls. Who knows if Dickerson stays in? And that takes that home run bat out of the formula as well. Blake Wood to pitch the 9th inning. And here's Myers, a walk and a double. Lorenzen impressive in his 2 innings, striking out 4, allowing just 1 hit.
Well, he was locked in. He had some good stuff. Good curveball, good fastball, 96. What a 3-pitch pitcher. Fastball, slider, changeup. Another hard thrower. Mid 90s, mid to upper 90s.
Well, he's soft liner over the head of Phillips into right field for a base hit. So Myers starts things here in the 9th inning with a single, and this rooftop shot brought to you by Pinnacle on the park. So Myers on base 3 times tonight, a single, double, and a walk. Here's Matt Kemp, Padre home run leader with 23 on the just finished 10-game road trip, hit 5 homers. Tonight he is singled and walked, and then a swinging bunt single, 2 for 2. Well, if any man should do it, it should be Kemp. He's been carrying the club on his home run bat as Myers, not held on at first, takes second base on the DI. Yeah, to try to avoid the 12th shutout of the season, an opportunity, no one out, and a man at second for the Padres. That takes away the double play torment of the evening. 4 times the Padres have hit into double plays. High strike, 0-2.
You know, Dick, I did a little research. I asked a little bird to do some information searching for me. This is Major League Baseball average. I know there's not a shift on right now. Major League average throughout all Major League Baseball without a shift. Major League hitters are hitting 300. Okay.
Ooh, late swing.
You know what the average is with a shift?
I'm going to say 250.
311.
Really? Well, wait a minute.
Without a shift, 300. With a shift, 311.
That would mean the major leagues average is over 300. That's not the case. The best team in baseball isn't hitting 300 on the season. That's how can it be that with or without a shift they're hitting swing and a miss, and Kemp is gone for the first out. I'd check your researcher on that. Extra credit. Boy, you were really pushing for that extra credit. Now I'm. See, for example, the Padres as a team are hitting 242.
No, I understand where you're going.
Bethancourt, he's got home run power. Let's stay with the opportunity to extend the home run streak to a National League record. Wood throwing strikes, 0-1. Bethancourt a strikeout and has bounced into 2 double plays. 6 home runs on the year. A ball and a strike. Ryan Schimpf, who has more extra base hits than any National League rookie since the 1st of July, is on deck. Waved at 1-2. Good breaking ball from Blake Wood. Way outside, 2-2.
That's a 90-mile-an-hour slider there.
Product of Georgia Tech. Blake Wood, 6'5" and 240-pounder. We got a pitch. High and inside, couldn't quite get through on it.
Some good run on the inner part of the plate right there on the hand of Wood.
Yeah, you left Toronto and they beat Baltimore tonight. And Blue Jays edging closer to first place in the American League East. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bethancourt got it. Couple of strikeouts for Wood. That takes the Padres down to their final out. It's time for the Carl's Jr. star of the game, Brandon Finnegan, in his 21st start of the season. His last 3 starts, he'd given up 8 home runs. He's given up 22 on the season, but he was lights out pitching tonight. Only 4 hits, 3 of them singles, 5 strikeouts for our star of the game, Brandon Finnegan. So here's Ryan Schimpf. He's walked, flied out, and struck out. Fly ball, and that'll be a souvenir down in that left field corner.
Well, if there's a guy you want to break the streak or keep the streak alive, it's Ryan Schimpf. Most home runs in July, Major League Baseball. Ryan Schimpf with 9, Jay Bruce with 8. We talked about that. Trevor Story also with 8. Max Kepler with 8. So here's your guy. Gotta wake up the Schimpf.
Even a base hit to deny the shutout. Myers out at second base, 2 gone here in the last of the 9th. Good block. Myers a 6-0 deficit. Now thought about trying to go to third. This run basically doesn't mean anything. He wants the inning to continue. So 2 balls and a strike. Schimpf with 9 home runs in 100 at bats since coming up. Ooh, he got a pitch right down the middle. Two and 2. 2 outs. Last of the 9th. 6-0 Cincinnati. You won't often see that final out on a strikeout on a borderline pitch. So it goes in Schimpf's favor, 3 and 2. Outside, ball 4. 2 on with 2 outs to Derek Norris. So third baseman Suarez, who is playing out in shallow right field in the shift against Schimpf, moves back to his normal position, and the overdue Derek Norris steps up. Lined out with the bases loaded in the first, and then struck out the last 2 times. A dozen home runs on the season. Outside, 97 on the fastball.
This is where you can't give away at bats. Got to concentrate as if it's 0-0. Pass it on to the next guy.
Waved at the breaking ball, 1-1. Just in case. Sangrani, the left-hander. He's been picking up the slack. If Aroldis Chapman going on to the Yankees. Out of play, and the Padres down to their final strike. Some of the faithful, 33,509. Check that Chapman with going to the Cubs, not the Yankees. Yankees were in the bid for him. 1 and 2. And the ball game is over, and the Padres 25-game home run streak ends, and wouldn't you know, it started after a shutout in Cincinnati, and it ends with a shutout by Cincinnati here at Petco Park. The final score, Reds 6, Padres nothing. And here's Mike Pomeranz.
All righty, Dick. Maybe they just start a new streak tomorrow. When we see you on the postgame show, Mark and I are going to get you that injury update on Alex Dickerson, knocked out in the first inning. And you'll hear from Andy Green. All that and more coming up in moments on Padres Live.